Welcome to I Am One, where I'm one with the Creator and one with myself. We just finished reading through the book called The Illusion of Us by Matthew LaCroix. And the next book that I'm going to read before I get into his second book, The Stage of Time, is called The Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean, Translation and Interpretation by Doriel. And the reason why I want to read this before getting into his next book is because he mentions Thoth, and I've seen different videos where he talks extensively about Thoth and some of the wisdom that was shared from him or through him. And another person who I follow, Billy Carson, the two of them together also did a video talking about the Emerald Tablets and reading through it and giving some insights about it. And so I wanted to, again, I like, it's one thing to hear somebody talk about it. It's a totally different thing to get the book in your hand and read it for yourself. And so I just completed it just this morning after my meditation time. And even as I was reading it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to share this book before I get into the next one by Matthew LaCroix, because it is just, I was intrigued by their comments about it. And then once I got it for myself and started digging into it, I am glad that I did. It's not a long read. How many tablets are there? Let's see. And it's a very unique book, the way that it's broken down. So there are, let's see, 13 tablets where there's the translation and interpretation. And then there's two more tablets, tablet 14 and 15, that is just strictly the translation without interpretation, because the translation itself is so self-explanatory. There is no need to add anything extra to it. And so in this recording, I want to just, I'm not going to read the table of contents, but I want to start with reading the preface, and I want to read the introduction. So here we go. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean, Translation and Interpretation by Doriel. Preface. To the original Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. The history of the tablets translated in the following pages is strange and beyond the belief of modern scientists. Their antiquity is stupendous, dating back some 36,000 years BC. The writer is Thoth, an Atlantean priest king who founded a colony in ancient Egypt after the sinking of the mother country. He was the builder of the Great Pyramid of Giza, erroneously attributed to Cheops. See The Great Pyramid by Doriel. In it, he incorporated his knowledge of the ancient wisdom and also securely secreted records and instruments of ancient Atlantis. For some 16,000 years, he ruled the ancient race of Egypt from approximately 50,000 BC to 36,000 BC. At that time, the ancient barbarous race among which he and his followers had settled had been raised to a high degree of civilization. Thoth was an immortal. That is, he had conquered death, passing only when he willed, and even then not through death. His vast wisdom made him ruler over the various Atlantean colonies, including the ones in South and Central America. When the time came for him to leave Egypt, he erected the Great Pyramid over the entrance to the great halls of Amenti, placed in it his records, and appointed guards for his secrets from among the highest of his people. In later times, the descendants of these guards became the pyramid priests, while Thoth was deified as the god of wisdom, the recorder, by those in the age of darkness which followed his passing. In legend, the halls of Amenti became the underworld, the halls of the gods, where the soul passed after death for judgment. During later ages, the ego of Thoth passed into the bodies of men in the manner described in the tablets. As such, he incarnated 3 times, in his last being known as Hermes, the thrice-born. In this incarnation, he left the writings known to modern occultists as the Emerald Tablets, a later and far lesser exposition of the ancient mysteries. The tablets translated in this work are 10, which were left in the Great Pyramid in the custody of the pyramid priest. The 10 are divided into 13 parts for the sake of convenience. The last 2 are so great and far-reaching in their import that at present it is forbidden to release them to the world at large. However, in those contained herein are secrets which will prove of inestimable value to the serious student. They should be read not once, but 100 times, for only thus can the true meaning be revealed. A casual reading will give glimpses of beauty, but more intense study will open avenues of wisdom to the seeker. But now a word as to how these mighty secrets came to be revealed to modern man after being hidden so long. Some 1300 years B.C., Egypt, the ancient Chem, was in turmoil, and many delegations of priests were sent to other parts of the world. Among these were some of the pyramid priests who carried with them the emerald tablets as a talisman by which they could exercise authority over the less advanced priestcraft of races descended from other Atlantean colonies. The tablets were understood from legend to give the bearer authority from Thoth. The particular group of priests bearing the tablets immigrated to South America, where they found a flourishing race, the Mayans, who remembered much of the ancient wisdom. Among these, the priests settled and remained. In the 10th century, the Mayas had thoroughly settled the Yucatan, and the tablets were placed beneath the altar of one of the great temples of the sun god. After the conquest of the Mayas by the Spaniards, the cities were abandoned and the treasures of the temples forgotten. It should be understood that the Great Pyramid of Egypt has been and still is a temple of initiation into the mysteries. Jesus, Solomon, Apollonius, and others were initiated there. The writer, who has a connection with the Great White Lodge, which also works through the pyramid priesthood, was instructed to recover and return to the Great Pyramid the ancient tablets. This, after adventures which need not be detailed here, was accomplished. Before returning them, he was given permission to translate and retain a copy of the wisdom engraved on the tablets. This was done in 1925, and only now has permission been given for part to be published. It is expected that many will scoff, yet the true student will read between the lines and gain wisdom. If the light is in you, the light which is engraved in these tablets will respond. Now, a word as to the material aspect of the tablets. They consist of 12 tablets of emerald green, formed from a substance created through alchemical transmutation. They are imperishable, resistant to all elements and substances. In effect, the atomic and cellular structure is fixed, no change ever taking place. In this respect, they violate the material law of ionization. Upon them are engraved characters in the ancient Atlantean language, characters which respond to attuned thought waves, releasing the associated mental vibration in the mind of the reader. The tablets are fastened together with hoops of golden-colored alloy suspended from a rod of the same material. So much for the material appearance. The wisdom contained therein is the foundation of the ancient mysteries, and for the one who reads with open eyes and mind, his wisdom shall be increased 100-fold. Read, believe or not, but read, and the vibration found therein will awaken a response in your soul. I can attest to that. In his cosmic harmony, Doriel, supreme voice of the Brotherhood. And now the introduction. In the following pages, I will reveal some of the mysteries which as yet have only been touched upon lightly either by myself or other teachers or students of truth. Man's search for understanding of the laws which regulate his life has been unending, yet always just beyond the veil which shields the higher planes from material man's vision, the truth has existed, ready to be assimilated by those who enlarge their vision by turning inward, not outward, in their search. In the silence of material senses lies the key to the unveiling of wisdom. He who talks does not know. He who knows does not talk. The highest knowledge is unutterable, for it exists as an entity in planes which transcend all material words or symbols. All symbols are but keys to doors leading to truths, and many times the door is not opened because the key seems so great that the things which are beyond it are not visible. If we can understand that all keys, all material symbols or manifestations are but extensions of a great law and truth, we will begin to develop the vision which will enable us to penetrate beyond the veil. All things in all universes move according to law, and the law which regulates the movement of the planes is no more immutable than the law which regulates the material expressions of man. One of the greatest of all cosmic laws is that which is responsible for the formation of man as a material being. The great aim of the mystery schools of all ages has been to reveal the workings of the law, which connect man, the material, and man, the spiritual. The connecting link between the material man and the spiritual man is the intellectual man, for the mind partakers of both the material and immaterial qualities. The aspirant for higher knowledge must develop the intellectual side of his nature and so strengthen his will that he is able to concentrate all the powers of his being on and in the plane he desires. The great search for light, life, and love only begins on the material plane. Carried to its ultimate, its final goal is complete oneness with the universal consciousness. The foundation in the material is the first step. Then comes the higher goal of spiritual attainment. In the following pages, I will give an interpretation of the emerald tablets and their secret hidden and esoteric meanings. Concealed in the words of Thoth are many meanings that do not appear on the surface. Light of knowledge brought to bear upon the tablets will open many new fields for thought. Read and be wise, but only if the light of your own consciousness awakens the deep-seated understanding, which is an inherent quality of the soul. In the Threefold Light, Doriel. Important format information. Drunvalo Melchizedek, founder of the Flower of Life organization, requested this 2-column study format for use by Flower of Life students. Therefore, chapters 1 through 13 of this book are presented in a side-by-side study format. The left column is Dr. Doriel's literal translation of the ancient text known as the Emerald Tablets as described in the preface. The right column, in italic, is Dr. Doriel's own interpretation of that text. It is suggested that you read the translation left column in its entirety prior to reading the interpretation. And that concludes the reading of the preface and the introduction. Please join me as we continue this journey, and peace and blessings to you all.